Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13. For those of you who have missed, we have still not gotten underway. We have had 2 prior attempts at getting this race started. This is going to be attempt number 3 now. We still have 7 of our 8 starting prototypes running. We still have all 15 of our GTs still running at this point in the event. And we have now crossed over to being 68 minutes behind schedule. We were actually doing pretty good. We were only about 45 minutes behind schedule until we got to this lobby, and now we have lost a gigantic amount of time. Trying to go to sleep and wake up on time in the morning to cover Stint 12 is going to be rough, but not impossible at least. All right, loading onto the circuit once again. Here we go, boys and girls. Come on, let's go. All right, here we go. Attempt number 3 here at LeMans. Once again, we'll see the entire field slip down to single file formation. And after they go under the Dunlop Bridge, our race will be underway. Saineris is going to be starting second. Can they keep Hirschi from rushing off into the distance like what Hirschi's teammate Corny is normally able to do in these stints? Coming up to the Dunlop Bridge right now. Seven prototypes, 15 GTs. We are underway for Stint 6. Attempt number 3 here. And Saineris had nothing for Hirschi that time. Although Hirschi gets a little bit high center with that left tire on a curb, backs themselves up a bit. Saineris is now right behind them. Big twitch by Saineris coming into the corner, but still right there. Draft is going to be in their favor. We could have a fight for the lead this time by here. Already TRT and Spino having to fight farther back right now, but the focus is on the lead. Although look at them, 2 wide farther back for 3rd spot. It looks like the GT drivers have gotten away without too much issue as well. Hirschi is defending against Saineris. Saineris is not going to go for any big lunges this time by the looks of it. Bit of a twitch back there, and we already had a lag out. Byron PRG has already lagged out, it seems. Now the question is, are they going to reset the lobby again for them or not? This big glut of hypercars all on top of each other for 3rd through 6th position right now. AMT seems to have already lost touch with them, though. It looks like Spino's able to keep it together for the moment, although he is a little bit wide in the apex of the second. Chicane gets a little bit of a push from behind by Dugamin. Spino's going to go back into 3rd now. Hirschi still holding station over Saineris. Magnus has lost ground, it seems. Something's gone wrong for him. No damage, but he has plummeted down the grid now. And it is SDS Toasty in the Mercedes leading Floppy Disk Hero in the Porsche. And then you have FFR Suicune lunging for 2nd. Goes deep and they hit Toasty! And they run the leader off track, and now he gets hit from behind by Floppy Disk Hero. And here comes Jaipa! And it's turned into chaos in the GTA field once again! Side by side for a lead between Sweet King and Floppy Disk Hero now, with Zyper running right behind. Uninanimate is now up to 4th position, trying to keep a mess of GT cars behind him as well. All of a sudden, the GT field has exploded into chaos. Sweet King, Floppy Disk Hero can't figure out who's it gonna be. Who'll take the lead through Indianapolis and Ornage. Big door-to-door contact between the two of them, and they're gonna be 3 wide recently. Zyper is going to force the issue, make some contact with them all. They've all made contact again. Still side by side between Sweet King and Zyper and Floppy Disk Hero. They're 3 wide again through Ornage, and they're all holding each other up. And now Zyper is gonna get caught by the rest of the field. Floppy Disk Hero takes the lead briefly from Sweet King here. Side by side for 4th, right behind. That is Zyper and Unanimate falling behind. Alonso now going to try and keep Unanimate behind him. Big pack of cars firing it off into the Porsche curbs. Somehow everyone here is able to keep it on track by the looks of it. Alonso slips back a little bit, now falls behind Zyper. This is probably the most packed the field has been going through these corners. Somebody went off there. That was Ace. Ace slides off into the dirt, but no one else is going to hit him. They'll be able to continue for now. Floppy Disk Hero holds on to the lead by gigantic twitch from Suicune, and he's not the only one. I think that may have been Recon who had a big slide as well farther up there. Alonso is struggling as well just behind Zyper. Now into the Ford chicanes for the first time on this stint. Somehow, despite everything that happened, all the GT cars are still not damaged, still pointing the same way, although Floppy Disk Hero has just gone off. Coming out of the final Ford chicane is going to plummet from 2nd to 5th, and that might be enough to give Sweet King a nice, good gap from the rest of the field and try to run off with this stint win here. Zyper suddenly is back in 3rd spot with HYR Pizza Box, someone who normally spends most of their time near the rear of the grid. Pizza Box is up here in 4th, maybe fighting for a podium spot early on here. Floppy Disk Hero has gotten back by Alonso as they go through the Dunlop curves this time by. Arius Magnus trying to make his way back up to the grid, but not really making any good progress there. Onto the straight once again now. Bit of contact between those two. But it looks like Suicune may have broken the draft from everyone except Unanimate. I can't tell if Unanimate is close enough to get a draft off of Suicune, but if he is, we could have a 2-man fight at the head of the field. But look at this glut of cars here. You have Pizza Box, Alonso, Floppy Disk Hero all on top of each other, firing it down as they're coming into the first of the Mulsanne chicanes. Again, they are 3 wide. Someone's got to back out of it. Pizza Box goes deep, plenty deep. Gets the position, then 3, 4 drivers in a row all cut the chicane in the exact same way. I guess we don't care about track limits if everyone's doing the exact same cut. You can't penalize them all. You can't disqualify them all, I guess, is their mindset. So Pizza Box holding station over Alonso and Zyper. Koljix the second is back into the fray as well. Unanimate has actually just gotten by Suicune. Going into the braking zone, the 2nd Mulsanne chicane slides a little bit wide, but he'll hold it for now. So Sweet King holding station over Unanimate for the moment. And Alonso clears most of the rest of the GT field as they came out of the 2nd chicane. Look at this, Pizza Box, Koljix, Zyper all still right here. Floppy Disk Hero not too far back as well. If you're asking what happened to Toasty, I can't answer that. He's just fallen to the rear of this grid because there's just been absolute chaos and anarchy right now in this GT field. Everyone, I feel, has been swapping positions this first lap and a half here. Toasty may have just drawn the shortest straw at the worst time. But yes, Toasty is at the back of this train, or kind of looking at the train up ahead of him right now. Again, Unanimate and Suicune side by side, this time coming down into Indianapolis. It looks like the Chevy brakes a little bit early, but now lunges forward and will clear the Mustang. So Chevrolet back to the top spot here at Le Mans. Alonso holds on to 3rd, Koljix 4th, Pizza Box is 5th for the moment, and we may have just had another disconnect. No, it looks like everyone's still here actually, for now. The rear of this GT field still absolutely super chaotic right now. RX-7 and M21 Recon side by side as they're coming up to the Porsche curbs again. Suicune and Unanimate still keep going back and forth at the head of this field. Somehow, all these GT drivers are still staying on circuit, though, with the exception potentially of Gorka. Not 100% sure what's happened to him to cause him to lose touch with the rest of the GT field, but the GT field all caught in a big little train, a significant train, about 13 cars all on top of each other. Ooh, that got a little bit tight there. Recon nearly ran Magnus off circuit there. Guarantee Magnus won't be happy with that. But Suicune is back ahead of Unanimate there, and Unanimate drops tires into the dirt coming out of the Ford chicane. That may leave him open to attack from Alonso here. Coming uphill, Alonso's not going to go for any big heroics this time by, but he is now right behind the Chevrolet as they go under the Dunlop Bridge. And while these two are fighting, Unanimate is going to desperately try to hold on, obviously, but Suicune may have a chance to try and scoot off into the distance. Big drift by Unanimate there in the Dunlop curves. And now onto the straights. And Unanimate, being the one leading this train, is going to be a sitting duck. Here comes Alonso looking to the outside immediately, side by side. BMW versus Chevrolet, and they've got Koldix the second in that Mustang just behind, watching this, happy because he's got the draft on both of them and will use this to close the gap down between himself and these two right now. Unanimate inside, Alonso outside, still side by side. Who's going to back out when they come down into the braking zone? Oh, look at that run by Koldix! Koldix going for an unbelievable run! And the two drivers ahead got into each other, hooked each other, got into the dirt! And Koldix is by Alonso. Unanimate going to hold on to second, but both of them hooked each other, slid through the dirt. Somehow Unanimate maintained the position, and now he'll have Koldix behind. That might get looked at post-stint, but that looked like it was just normal Forza glue, as we like to call it, just hooking the two cars together. Koldix had another bit of a lockup coming into the corner that time by, but not nearly as perfect for him because Unanimate was clean and had no worries about going side by side through there with somebody else. So Koldix holds on to third place in GT right now. Coming up over the top of the hill once again. And now firing it down into Mulsanne corner. The GT field still all packed right on top of each other. The only exception is Byron PRG, who lagged out on lap 1, and TVF Gorka, who seems to have had some sort of issue that's put him well behind. But otherwise, we still have 13 GT cars all pretty much sharing the same straightaway right now. Alonso now under threat from PTG Brains. That is the PTG car that has won 2 stints thus far in today's event. Bit of a slide from Alonso, and that's going to be enough to let Brains go by, and Brains goes off in the dirt immediately! Brains into the dirt, and he's spinning right in front of the entire field! Is there damage to the car? No damage, he'll be able to keep going at least, but Brains, who had just cracked into the top 5, now slides to third to last on track. Been one of those days for the PTGs. It seems to be either feast or famine for this team today. Good news for Alonso, though, because immediately now he's going to have cleaner air to try and focus forward to Cole GX once again, as Cole GX is closing down slowly but surely on Unanimate here for the second spot in GT. Might be changes going on prototypes as well. We'll change to look at that shortly here. My focus is still GT, waiting to see if it's going to finally calm down. I think the GT field is finally starting to calm down just a little bit, actually. So real quickly, a change at the head of the prototype field. Hirschi has been caught by GGA Spino. These two are now in a mano-a-mano fight at the head of the prototype field. The hypercar field right now, firing off into the second chicane. Now it looks like Spino has it over Hirschi for the moment. Hirschi, however you're supposed to say that. Sainier is holding on to third. Eli is fourth. JGTZ is 5th, Dugaman is 6th, And AMTX46 has started to close in on Tugaman. He is 7th. Looks like Eris Magnus has jumped into the pit lane, likely trying to repair damage. No, he just wants to do something else, get away from everybody else, I guess. But Suicune has now been caught by Uninanimate at the head of the field, and they've got Cold GX back there. So it looks like the entire GT field might explode into chaos all over again. Our top 4, Suicune, Uninanimate, Cold GX, and Alonso, all on top of each other once again here as they go down the first of 4 consecutive straightaways here at Le Mans. Ooh, very nearly big contact there between the two of them. Still side by side. Someone has to back out into the braking zone. Cold GX's goal's going to break way too late, and Suicune completely botches the corner. And Uninanimate's going to go right by them all. And despite making a mistake on quarter entry, Cold GX did not lose a position to Alonso, and these 4 are all still right on top of each other. Down the second straightaway this time now. So it is Chevy, Ford, BMW for the top 4. All right, into the next chicane. Oh boy, goodness. Suicune just dive bombs in there. Big door-to-door contact, and they're all gonna slide wide. Alonso said, that's Cold GX says, screw this. He takes a unnaturally tight line, compromises his line. That lets Alonso by him now. And now Floppy Disk Hero and Kevin RX7 has just about caught this group. And now here comes Suicune on Uninanimate again into Bolson corner, the heaviest braking zone. Suicune on the outside, Uninanimate on the inside. Side by side for 3rd place behind them as well. They all keep it on track somehow. Top 6 all right on top of each other again. There are 3 wide farther back, and it is Floppy Disk Hero and the Porsche coming back to play. Floppy Disk Hero, with IRA on his car, is back into the podium spots, has a huge draft off of the side-by-side leaders right ahead of him, and they're now all fired down into Indianapolis and Arnage all over again. Oh, there's contact! Unanimate's around! Suicune is around! Suicune goes off, and Uninanimate backs it into the outside wall! Very nearly gets hit by the PTG car, but there's no damage. He'll be able to continue, but suddenly it is Floppy Disk Hero in the IARA Porsche who goes to the top with Cold GX in 2nd now. Cold GX 2nd, and now Kevin RX7 in 3rd. VSR Alonso is going to be 4th. Suicune only fell back to 5th in that whole thing. They're not out of it yet either. Oh, that BMW is way wide, but it will barely keep that 111 BMW on the circuit. Does Kevin. And now is immediately under threat from the inside from Alonso. There's going to be a little bit of contact, a big amount of contact, still side by side through here. And here comes Suicune with a huge head of steam, but there's nowhere for him to take all that speed. Out of the Porsche curves, big slide wide goes Alonso. Suicune's going to use that to get back alongside Alonso now. Door contact between the two of them. I think Alonso's saying, I've had enough. I think he might come into the pits. Yes, Alonso jumps in the pits. He said, I've had enough of this. You all are absolutely out of your minds. He's not the only one. AFZ Jaipa is also jumping into the pits right now. But it is Cold GX who has now stolen the lead back from Floppy Disk Hero. And Suicune is now up in the 3rd spot in this glut of cars. Bit of a run off circuit there. Is that Uninanimate? Yes, Uninanimate is now moved back up into 5th. So despite sliding off into the wall in Indianapolis and Arnage, Uninanimate is also on the recovery drive already. Side by side between Ace and Pizza Box further back there, but it looks like Pizza Box backs out of it for the moment. A bit of a twitch, bit of a slide. It does look like Uninanimate holds station over Ace for now, for the moment. Looking to the inside is Ace on Uninanimate. Side by side, neck and neck between these two. And neither of them are really on the ideal line coming down. All right, here we are. Ace slides to the outside, trying to get himself a more ideal line coming into the braking zone. That's Recon firing off into there as well. Somehow, they all keep it clean coming out of the first Mulsanne chicane that time by. I don't know how, but they did. And look at this, at the head of the GT field, it is Floppy Disk Hero in the Porsche and Cole GX the second. FFR Sweetcoon back there in third, watching this. He's cleared Kevin for the moment. And Cole GX goes nice and deep into the corner. May have been too deep, slides. But no, it looks like Cole has it for now. Although Floppy Disk Hero will now have a draft on the run to Mulsanne corner again. The IARA Porsche looks to the inside, side by side, neck and neck with Cole GX once more. And if these two keep fighting, they will bring Sweetcoon and Kevin RX-7 back into the fray. Now the Porsche's on the outside, the Mustang's on the inside. A little bit of a cheeky line by Cole GX. Floppy Disk Hero says, hey, I'm not happy with that line. He gives that Mustang a gigantic shove in the rear and now immediately looks back to the inside, side by side for a lead again in the GT category. And Sweetcoon is right there behind. Does Sweetcoon try to force the issue? Does he try to make it 3 wide? Or is he content to stay in line, or not in line, but behind in third place from round board Sweetcoon as they come down to Indianapolis and Arnage once again. This was the problem corner last lap. What about this time by? And Cole GX goes nice and deep. Sweetcoon tries to make the outside line work, but there's just not enough grip out there. And Sweetcoon goes right back into the Porsche. The Porsche drops tires in the dirt, loses a huge chunk of time in the process. Sweetcoon now up into second. Floppy Disk Hero nearly gets run off circuit there by RX-7, so Floppy Disk Hero now slips back to fourth. Fifth place is now uninanimate. Side by side though, he's not giving up yet on RX-7, and side by side ahead as well between Cole GX and Sweetcoon, but it looks like it is going to be Sweetcoon who goes back in front. So it only took him about a lap and 2 quarters, but Sweetcoon is back in the lead already here. Could this be Sweetcoon's stint, the one where they finally make everything stick together and pull off a stint victory here for their team? Again, pit stops also might want to be considered. We are exactly 20 minutes in, and there we are. Sweetcoon's going to pit this time. Cole GX is going to pit this time. Kevin's going to pit this time. Uninanimate's going to pit this time. But it looks like Floppy Disk Hero is going to stay out. So the Porsche is going to go back to the lead once again. Porsche does not seem to have the stability necessary to win stints, but the Porsche drivers really have that dog in them. They ate an entire dog, and now they are laying the dog's traits of being willing to fight. Ridiculous fights flow through them. Those IARA Porsche drivers have really been up to something today. Looks like SDS Toasty also has yet to make a stop as well, so they're going to stay out a little bit longer, as does Ace on 240 HPS, Recon, and PTG Brains. Meanwhile, in the hypercar category, it is GGA Spino leading Hursta right now. Third place, a little bit farther back, is Sinerius. Ellie is way farther back in fourth right now. Trying to navigate Gorka back there. Looks like they'll clear him without issue. It looks like Spino is pitting this time, and so is Hursti. So this duo is going to pit at the exact same time here. Sinerius is going to join them in pit road as well. And now it's going to be Eli Don't Do It's time. Is he going to pit, or is he going to stay out a bit longer? Floppy Disk Hero, meanwhile, in the GT category, continues to lead, but is being run down quickly by PTG Brains. So Brains, who is in the team that has won Stint 1 and 4, but had an awful Stint 2 and 3, and a acceptable Stint 5, trying to make something happen with it again. Eli is not going to pit this time, so Eli and TRT is going to both stay out a little bit longer here. M21 Recon in third, but he is not close enough to capitalize. It looks like PTG Brains has just about caught Floppy Disk Hero all on their own here. Catches the Porsche going into the second of the Mulsanne chicanes now. Big slide by Floppy Disk Hero. Brains now right behind him. We are back to having another fight for the lead here in the GT category. And of everyone who pitted, it is actually VSR Alonso who has ended up ahead of Sweetcoon and Cole GX second. I missed how that happened, but Alonso has ended up ahead of those two Mustangs that are still fighting side by side as this duo is now firing off into the second Mulsanne chicane. One of them have to back out. Who's it going to be? Neither of them, and that's going to compromise somebody. Someone's going to have a bad line through here. No, they both actually did relatively well and gave each other great room. Fantastic job by you two. However, they both will have lost a lot of time to Alonso in the process. Meanwhile, on the run down to Indianapolis and Arnage, is Floppy Disk Hero trying to stay ahead of PTG Brains. How aggressively does Brains push the issue through here? Makes a little bit of contact with the Porsche. Looking at the outside. Porsche holds the inside, and Brains has to back out of it. Floppy Disk Hero holds on to the lead for another corner or two now. Arnage now. Not a great run out by Brains. And look at that. That's Recon just a little bit behind. They can see them. Now we look at this duo. Suicune and Cold GX still side by side now as they're the ones coming to Indianapolis. Suicune wraps her around the outside, which gives him the inside in the apex of the corner. A little bit of contact, but ooh, he could not keep the power down and keep traction. Cold GX takes the spot back from Suicune here, but he goes wide and misses the apex in Arnage. But Suicune was compromising, can't immediately go back to fighting though. Floppy Disk Hero and PTG Brains now pit out of the top spots in GT. So does M21 Recon. So the lead should go back to this group, I imagine, because I imagine Ace and Toasty will be paying this time as well. A little bit of contact again between them. No, it looks like Ace is going to stay out a little bit longer here. Suicune and Cold GX still going back and forth here. But it looks like for the moment, Cold GX has the line on Suicune, and while they are fighting, Alonso is slowly scooting away. And look at this, Unanimate and Kevin RX-7 are having a little spat of their own back here. BMW on Chevy action. BMW on the inside is going to go lunging really deep into the first of the 4 chicanes, and Unanimate's all sorts of sideways going over the curbs. So that worked out perfect timing for RX-7. He'll clear Unanimate. And Suicune is now back under a threat from Cold GX as they come up into turn 1. And look at that! What's that there? Are those drivers that just pitted? They are! It's Brains who is right ahead of them! And Cold GX had to back out a bit to be ready for them. Also, Eli and TRT have pitted in the prototype category, so now it is only Ace and SCS Toasty who have not yet made their first stops. Still, this Ford Mustang duo continue to go side by side. They've probably been side by side for about 80% of the circuit now. They have contact between them again. Big lunge by Cold GX. Suicune is still there on the outside, and now they're going to give Unanimate and Kevin a fantastic draft on them both. What does Unanimate do against this duo now? In this all, it is VSR Alonso leading of everyone who has made a stop, but Floppy Disk Hero is second and BTG Brains is third. We round board with Unanimate as he watches these two Mustangs ahead. Which one backs out? It looks like Suicune backed out just a little bit. And they made contact, and here comes Unanimate. Muscles his way alongside, makes contact again with Suicune, and now finishes the overtake. BTG Brains running down on Floppy Disk Hero farther up the road there. But Cold GX is under threat once more from Unanimate and Suicune, and Kevin is there as well. Unanimate goes to the inside and clears Cold GX, or not quite clears them. No, they're still side by side. They're still side by side. They're still side by side. And finally, the Chevy clears, but makes a little bit of contact. Nearly turns himself off the front bumper. Slides wide, loses a bunch of time, and now they're 3 wide. Are they going to be 4 wide as they come down the Mulsanne corner? Oh, they're thinking of it. They are thinking of going 4 wide. Cold GX can't make anything happen there in the middle of 3 wide. The Chevy is on the extreme inside line. The BMW is pushed wide, and Cold GX goes deep, way too deep. He goes into the dirt. Cold GX goes into the dirt, and now Unanimate is the one ahead, and Cold GX piles the outside wall farther back there. Is there any damage to that car after hitting the wall like that? No, he'll be able to continue without damage. So Unanimate now has the position, but Suicune and Kevin are both writing him down. They're side drafting off each other and got a big draft off of Unanimate. Do either of them try to go for a big bonsai move? Yes, they do. Here comes Suicune to the inside. They'll be nearly 3 wide going into Indianapolis this time. Chevy on the inside, Mustang on the outside. The Mustang slides wide, the Chevy holds station. Here comes the BMW, there's contact, and Suicune's into the wall. Suicune's still into the wall, and he still is crashing in a straight line. Gets made contact with again by Kevin. And somehow, that was a crash that he kept it on track, didn't lose a position, didn't damage the car. Ace now pits out of the lead, so we should see SDS Toasty pit shortly, and then the lead in GT will go to Alonso. And then it will be PTT Brains and Floppy Disk Hero, I imagine, who would be next. Floppy Disk Hero now once again back to kind of slowly losing ground in that Porsche. I don't know if it's the car, the setup, or just the drivers not being able to come to grips with it, but that Porsche does not have the handling characteristics it needs to stay competitive. Unanimate has now cleared Kevin by the looks of it. Kevin under threat from Suicune, and there is M21 Recon just behind as well. And yes, Toasty did pit this time as well. Kevin has Suicune right behind. Ooh, was that Unanimated? He dropped into the tire into the dirt. He might have, but I think he's far enough ahead. He's not going to be immediately under attack this time by. And that is Ace coming out of pit lane right alongside the BMW. And here comes Suicune. And there's too many cars on top of each other. And the chaos continues here. And it is Kevin who just barely stays ahead of Ace, and Suicune is still behind both of them. Ace looked to the inside, now looks to the inside again of the BMW, looks to the extreme inside line, now falls back in line behind, and here comes the prototypes! Oh, I forgot about the prototypes completely, but the prototypes are now rushing their way through GT traffic here. That could further upend how things go. Ace fighting with Kevin here for what is 5th in GT right now. Ace on the inside, Kevin on the outside, neck and neck, side by side between these two. Who goes deeper to the ring? They both break at about the same point, and they got another prototype right behind, and that's Hershey, and Hershey has a big slide and spins. I don't think he took any damage though. No, he did. Hershey, our second place runner in prototype, gets caught up in the GT mess, and now has catastrophic damage to their car in the process. And Cineris has now worked their way through. They're gonna get up into second, but they're out of fuel. Oh my goodness, is this true? Is Cineris actually out of fuel? I don't think Cineris is out of fuel. He's still running like he's fine. That might just be the game not properly showing what his fuel and tire consumption is. So Cineris moves their way up to second, and Hershey, who has been in the car that has dominated most of the prior 5 stints, has had an accident, and their race has now been derailed. Floppy Disk Hero and Unanimate still going at it with each other. Ace is back there as well, a little bit farther back. Here comes another one of the prototypes trying to nip their way by at the last minute, but gets caught from behind by the Chevy GT car, and the Chevy gets back in front of the IRA Porsche again. This is right now a fight for 3rd and 4th on circuit. It is VSR Alonso and PTT Brains in the top 2 positions. Boy, these two really sliding bumpers. It's like they have magnets and butter on their front ends, and they're kind of like wanting to hook their bumpers together, but they can't make it stick, and they're sliding all over the place. Inside is the Porsche, outside is the Chevy. There's just a little bit of contact with the Chevy's man stick, and the Porsche goes to the outside. There's not enough grip out there, though. And the Chevy is wide, but not wide enough to go into the dirt. So for the moment, Unanimate maintains 3rd place over Floppy Disk Hero. Alonso has to be feeling so relieved knowing that he is clear of the rest of this field right now. GT field has done a little bit more spreading out as this has gone on, but they're still all kind of right on top of each other for the most part. One mistake and it just immediately devolves into madness and chaos here. But I think finally, after about 33 minutes of running, GTs may have finally calmed down a little bit, and we might be able to catch our breath just a bit. Ace runs a little bit wide just ahead of Kevin back there. Cold GX has slipped well down the order, now just trying to stay ahead of M21 Recon. Then you have FFR squeaking a little bit further back. That is one of the prototypes going really deep. Oh, who was that? Was that TG? No, that wasn't. Was that Hursty? No, it was Ellie, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Ellie. Ellie nearly completely out of control, but they're now up in the 3rd position, going for full bonsai moves on these drivers right now. Here's Uninanimate, just cleared Floppy Disk Hero. And then you have Kevin and Ace still on top of their little fight. Although now it looks like Kevin has lost a little bit of ground on Ace. Yeah, Kevin's pulled a ground out on Ace, I should say. And Eli is trying to muscle his way through the traffic. Now, oh my goodness, he hit the dirt and then caught the air. Ace had 3 tires in the air briefly there, hit the outside wall. Somehow the car's not damaged, but he hit the dirt and shot his car across a little undulation on the circuit, and he briefly had 3 tires up in the air. Somehow, Ace is still going without damage. But he has lost a significant amount of time to the top 5 now. So your leader in GT is Alonso. 2nd place is PTG Brains. 3rd place is Uninanimate. 4th is Floppy Disk Hero. 5th is Kevin RX7. 6th is now Ace on 240 HPS. 7th is Coldix. 8th is Recon. 9th is Pizza Box fighting with Eris Magnus, who is 10th. 11th will be AVZ Jaipa. 12th will be Toasty. 13th will be Suicune, who I guess repaired damage. And last of your GT runners is Gorka, who has just not been able to keep touch with the prototypes. With the rest of the GT field. In prototypes is Spino in 1st. Sinerius has moved up to 2nd. Eli is in 3rd. JGTZ is 4th. AMT X46 is 5th. Hursty, after being involved in an accident earlier, is fallen to 6th. And Dugamin is last, 7th in your prototype field. So now that our GT category has calmed down a bit, we are going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break and give my voice a bit of a rest now. We'll be back momentarily here at Le Mans after 35 minutes of absolutely wacky racing in the GT category here in Stint 6. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Le Mans. We still have about an hour and 3 minutes left in Stint 6 here. This has been an absolutely wild and wacky time in the GT category. The leaders in GT seems to have gotten their stuff mostly stabilized, but the midfield is still more than a little bit wild as we see Ace on 240 FPS stalking Cole GX II. Alonso has gone ahead and pitted out of the lead early, so that gives the lead in the GT category over to PTG Brains. Unanimate in that Chevy, somehow, despite having to spin and back it into the wall earlier, has made his way back into second position in that Apex team car. That is one of the hypercars. Is that Eli? No, that's not Eli. It's Cenarius. Who is that? Is that... Can't tell who that is, or who that was being held up there. Must have been AMT by the looks of it. No, it's not AMT. So it's TRT. Okay, so it was TRT was being held up there. Still, he's in clean air for the moment, compared to his other hypercar rivals. Here we go again. Cole GX looking to the inside of Ace, side by side between these two Mustangs. Yes, barely avoids contact as Ace takes a awful line trying to avoid contact and loses a bunch of time in the process, and that's going to keep M21 Recon in sight of this battle as well. Draft will go back in Ace's favor as he closes in on Cole as they crest the hill and now fire it off down into Mulsanne corner. Mustang inside, Mustang outside. Not a great line out, though, by Ace, but he is still close enough to have the draft. And here comes another prototype. That would be AMT by the looks of it. So can AMT clear all three of these GT cars before they get to the braking zone? Clears Recon without too much issue. Cenarius is paying out a second, a little bit earlier than anticipated. 1 second. Is there damage on Cenarius' car? Nope, he's just out of fuel apparently. Holdick still holding station over Ace as they go through Arnage now. Prototype traffic not really compromising them very much, it seems. This little three-way fight here. Hypercar trying to cut their way through, working around the outside. I believe that is Hursley now, trying to make their way through this group. Does seem like Kevin is going to be paying this time by, and so is Cole GX, but Ace wants to stay out a little bit longer, so that will bring an end to this fight now. Or maybe not brings it into it because M21 Recon is right behind Ace, so maybe it just transfers it into a different direction now. About 40 minutes into the run, so drivers who are trying to cut the race into nice even distances are making their second stops at this stage of the event. Looks like Jaipa's going to stay out a little bit longer, unsurprisingly. We've seen them do more than that strategy before. Did Hershey have another spit out or instant there before getting to the straight? It sounded like I heard tires squealing and their engine really bogging down, but they seem to be going back fine now, so whatever happened must not have been too catastrophic. So PTG Brains is your leader as they are on an alternate strategy from Alonso. Alonso pitted earlier. PTG Brains is pitting a little bit later. Big thing for Alonso, though, he's in clean-ish air at the moment, but if he's fast enough, he's going to catch the likes of Jaipa, Recon, and Ace, and that could compromise his run. Recon's still running in Ace's draft right now. just about nose to tail. Looks like Recon's able to close in on Ace. Boy, did he close in on Ace. Ace just did not have a good time entering the corner. His exit was fine, but Recon had better entry and exit. If Recon wants to make a move, this would be a fantastic time for him to do it. There's no cars in front or behind. Recon to BMW, looking to the outside now, looking to the inside now, falls back in line behind. Looks to the inside. The Mustang runs wide in the corner, and Recon's through. Had to get into Ace's head and intimidate Ace a little bit, but Recon clears Ace, coming out of Mulsanne corner. But now Ace will have the draft back on Recon on the run up to Indianapolis and Arnage. Probably the most technically challenging and most interesting place to overtake on the circuit. Ace on the outside, Recon on the inside. And Recon runs very defensively. Ace goes really deep and clears, slides off the front bumper, but keeps the car on track just barely. Oh, and Ace misses another corner! Another one of the slow 90-degree corners. Ace misses and Recon goes right back by without issue. That's another one of the hypercars coming up on them. That is 7th place, Dugamin Pro, about to catch this duo. Right on board with him as he watches this 2 GT duo fight, and he is caught right behind them. They are side by side as they go into the Porsche because this is very suboptimal for Dugamin. Can't really figure out a way to get alongside. He looks to the outside. He's going to try and clear one of them. Clears both and makes contact. But he is clear. And now he'll jump into the pits this time by. And Recon loses a bunch of time to Ace. But Ace is jumping into the pits this time by. Did he take damage when he got hit there? Nope, he's still good. But Brain stays out a little longer. And so does M21 Recon. AMT and Dugamin Pro both have jumped into the pit road to make their second stop of the event now. So Brains is staying out a really long time on this stint. So is M21 Recon. VSR Alonso continues to just plug away laps right now. This BMW won back in, I believe it was stint 3. But their performance has been kind of all up and down throughout the day today, from stint to stint. Our top three, the top three are very spread out in GT, but the farther back you go, the more and more chaos and battles you see, or potential stalking battles like this here. Unanimate staying ahead of Floppy Disk Hero, but I think Floppy may be close enough to get the draft off of that Chevrolet, and if so, these two will likely be right back to fighting all over again for what would currently be 5th and 6th in GT. GGA Spino now paying out the lead in the hypercar category. Elliott Don't Do It is a long way back, so it's not like Spino's really at risk of losing. Spino's biggest rival had been Hursky, but Hursky was involved in an accident trying to navigate GT traffic. So that has basically taken all the pressure off of Spino, and Spino is just going to be cruising to the checkers now. Okay, so it does look like Elliott Don't Do It actually does beat Spino out of the pit. So Elliott now inherits the lead briefly. Probably the best this hypercar has looked throughout the nighttime stints thus far. Leading now. Granted, is off of alternate strategies, but they are leading, which is still worth saying something. Floppy Disk Hero is trying to get in the draft range of that Chevrolet. But the handling just has not been there for the Porsche throughout the run today. Unanimated still holding on and was currently 5th in GT, but we're still waiting for the top 3 drivers in GT to make their second stop. Not a great run through Indianapolis by Unanimate, but I think Floppy Disk Hero may have compromised himself by being too conservative that time by. And there's PTG Brains pitting now out of the lead in the GT category. So our focus goes to VSR Alonso. Is he going to be close enough to steal the lead back from PTG Brains? That is going to be the big question. Or is Brains, by staying out longer, inherited the lead now and can start scooting away, try to get 3 podiums and 6 stints? No, 4 podiums and 6 stints, including maybe 3 wins and 6 stints. Recon and Jaipa also has gone ahead and jumped into the pits as well, unsurprisingly. All right, here comes Alonso now, out of the Ford chicane, and now down the front straightaway. Brains is only now coming out of their pit box. And there you can see Alonso flying by. Alonso easily takes the lead. That's going to be by a massive margin at that. My goodness, it's not even going to be close between the two of them. So it doesn't matter. Alonso turned a bunch of laps in clean air and re-inherits the lead over Brains. Now, Brains is going to have a bit of a tire advantage, but Alonso has a massive track position advantage, and they are basically even on strategy right now. Unanimate's going to be 3rd. Floppy Disk Hero, by the looks of it, will be 4th. Kevin will be 5th now. 6th will be Cole GX all over again. 7th will be Ace. 8th will be Recon. And 9th would be SDS Toasty, with 10th being Pizza Box. In the hypercar category, Eli still leads, but they still have yet to make their second stop. Everyone is mandated 4 stops to be completed in the first 90 minutes of the 100 minutes of racing here. And just due to the tire wear, I imagine Eli will be pitting this time by. Yep, that's the word right there, Eli pitting this time. So that will easily hand the lead back over to GGA Spino. So after an absolutely bat-crazy wild, Bat-Guano Wild, first 33 to 35 minutes, everything's calmed down a little bit. We're going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break here, and we'll keep an eye on this little stalking battle between Cole GX and Ace. While we do so, we'll be back momentarily here at Le Mans. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Le Mans. About 50 minutes left, halfway through Stint 6 here. We have all been here for quite some time. And this final stint, it has been the show of GT drivers going absolutely bonkers. We are watching this stalking battle right now between Ace and Cole GX. Most of the other battles on track have pretty much resolved themselves, although Pizza Box and Jaipa have gone back and forth a handful of times for these positions as well. It has definitely been one of the wackier and wilder stints I've ever seen. That Suicune and Eris Magnus just behind this duo at the moment. Oh, Suicune sideways and into the wall! Into the outside wall! Spinning, sliding! Any damage? No damage, he'll keep going, but Suicune keeps getting hooked and turned like that. Suicune is going to have an absolute meltdown and is eventually just going to say, I've had enough, and hook someone else if this keeps up here. Pizza Box and Jaipa are back at it again. This would be for 10th position here. Well, 9th and 10th position. 8th position? I'm losing track. I can tell I'm getting tired. Bit of a run, a bit of a slide there by Jaipa, but it looks like he does have position over Pizza Box for now. I think that gap's big enough that they've broken the draft now. What of this here, though? PTT Brains, uninanimate. Second and third on track. Alonso well up the road right now. Brains, that car has won 2 stints and has the podium in another. Uninanimate hasn't won any stints, but they've had quite a few podiums. They've just kind of been all over the place, up and down the grid today. Brains goes a little bit too deep and then slides wide out of the second chicane. Here comes Uninanimate. Side by side, neck and neck. A little bit of door contact and Brains goes really wide. Trying to compensate. Up to the Mulsanne corner once again. Who goes deeper? Do either of them go too deep? Well, they are going too deep into the corner, but are they going to go TOO deep? No, but there is a little bit of contact. Uninanimate inside, Brains outside, still drag racing between the two of them. And if they lose too much time going side by side like this, they will bring Floppy Disk Hero right back into the fray all over again. And that would not be the first time I have said that. All right, into Mulsanne corner. Someone has to back up. Again, door bane in a straight line. I don't know why you need to do that. On door bane again in the braking zone, but inside line is PTT Brains. He's a little bit sideways, but he'll clear the Chevy, and the Chevy crosses him over on exit, but that puts him on the outside coming down to Arnage. That's a suboptimal line. I think Uninanimate realizes it, backs out of it. Tries to put the power down on the exit of Arnage, but just not smooth enough. He will have the draft off the Mustang, though, because he go for a big bonsai dive coming into a Porsche curbs this time. Clean track ahead, clean track behind. Not really under threat from anything else. Uninanimate looking to try and go the long way around again. Door-to-door contact, and both of them slide off the ideal line, and Uninanimate gets him. Brains did not use his namesake, and Uninanimate snookered Brains out, saw how aggressive Brains was, and snookered him out and has gone right by. So Uninanimate puts his Chevy up into second spot. So once again, 4 different manufacturers. The top 4 positions is BMW, Chevy, Ford, and Porsche. In the top 4 positions in the GT category now. Yeah, it seems like Brains has really lost the plot against Unanimate. Now Unanimate is zooming off into the distance, and Brains, I think, has been caught a little bit off guard. And it might take him a little while to regain his rhythm and momentum, regain his rhythm and balance here. 42 minutes left in the stint. So for drivers who want to cut this race, cut these stints to nice even distances between pit stops, well, those drivers will be preparing for their next pit stop this lap, I imagine. So that will be something worth keeping an eye on. GGA Spino, your leader in prototypes, is catching GT traffic all over again, has already disposed of Suicune. Well, we've seen the hypercars having troubles with traffic before. Big slide by Spino as he was trying to deal with being offline, overtaking one of the BMW GT cars. But he's clear and still maintain his gap. Still has a pretty respectable gap over Sinier. Spino just needs to not crash, not spin out, and he can bring home this stint victory. Here's Steve making a stop back there. 4th place now. That will be their 3rd stop with 40 minutes left. So despite being involved in the accident earlier, Hursty's strategy hasn't been completely derailed yet. It's just their track position has been completely derailed. Good news for Smile is that he's catching most of this traffic right now in relatively straight line parts of the circuit, so he's not losing too much ground in the process. Really trying to protect my voice right now because I can feel a bad burn in my throat at the moment from all the madness that's been going on in this stint in particular. So we watch Suicune and Pizza Box going at it here. Spino's already cleared this group, and now Spino's back to being in what will be relatively clean track for quite some time. Your leader is VSR Alonso. 2nd place is Unanimate. 3rd place is PTG Brains. 4th place is Floppy Disk Hero. 5th place is Kevin RX-7, the first repeat car. That is a BMW. The BMW Mafia rolled up 7 of the 15 GT cars that started in C Lobby have been BMWs. They have stolen a stint win, but their performance has been really all over the place. It's not like they're dominating in massive amounts. Big slide by Floppy Disk Hero, and Kevin RX runs into him in the process. Alonso is pitted this lap also now. And Unanimate is going to join Alonso in the pits, but I think Brains will stay out a bit longer. Floppy Disk Hero also will stay out, but Kevin RX-7 is going to pit this lap as well. So will Cold GX the second farther back, but it looks like Ace is going to stay out a bit longer. What of Recon and 21 Recon? Does he pit or does he stay out? Sinerius also has gone ahead and jumped into the pit lane this time by as well. As AFZ Jaipa a little bit farther back. Looks like they'll be okay. So now the field starts getting spread out again off the back of alternate strategies. Recon is going to clear Alonso. So Alonso now is going to have to deal with some traffic one way or another. This could compromise some of that massive lead he had over 2nd place, because he's got Alonso has Jaipa behind him and Recon in front of him. So a trio of BMWs all on alternate strategies amongst each other, all running in different positions in the race right now. Right now, Alonso's just trying to keep Jaipa behind him and gets contact from behind from Jaipa. It's a little wide, but nothing too bad. Now Alonso has the run on Recon. Should be an easy draft overtake. The big wild card is going to be what Jaipa ends up doing, having to draft off of both of these BMWs. Alonso goes to the outside. Recon's going to hold the inside. Neck and neck, side by side between the two of them as they fly down the straightaway. Alonso's not able to clear Recon quite yet. The side draft salvages Recon's run into the first of the chicane. He gets turned, and that's the leader on the main strategy. And Alonso gets turned by Jaipa, cuts the dirt and gets going again. Says, I don't care, I'll take the penalty. I need to get away from that group as fast as possible. And Jaipa clears Recon as well in all that mess. That's unanimated a little bit farther back in the background. But now Jaipa is going to be behind Alonso. Can be close enough to maybe make a move back on Alonso. So his worries are not over yet. Jaipa looks to the inside. Here comes Jaipa with a big move on Alonso. Side by side. Big door bang moment. But no big slide like we saw last time. And Alonso fires out of the second Mulsanne chicane. Still has the position on track over Jaipa. But Jaipa still has the draft as well. Coming up to Mulsanne corner. The heaviest braking zone on the circuit. Alonso needs to be careful. We've seen drivers run a normal line but get turned from behind by drivers on less optimal lines through here before. Jaipa goes wide. Alonso's going to have a little bit more defensive line, and Jaipa crosses him over, gets the car alongside, side by side between Alonso and Jaipa once again. This is going absolutely awful for Alonso. He did not want to fight with drivers, but that's exactly what he's doing now. Jaipa gets back in front of Alonso once again. Now Alonso looks back to the outside of Jaipa. Jaipa inside, Alonso outside, neck and neck, side by side. Someone's going to have to back out coming into Indianapolis. Who's it going to be? And it's Alonso. He lets Jaipa fire it off deep, and Jaipa does a good job holding the line. Alonso's just not willing to run that high-risk drive and try to muscle his way through in that corner right now. Oh, and Jaipa did not have a good time in Arnage. Now let Alonso close back on. Does he try and make the move into the Porsche curves? If he can pass him coming into the Porsche curves, Alonso can put together some good corners and maybe scoot away a bit. I think that's Alonso's plan. He pulls to the inside, side by side between these two BMWs as they come into the Porsche curves. Jaipa has a really wide line, but will go deep, and he gets the position back over Alonso. Well, that didn't work out nearly as well as Alonso wanted it to. Floppy Disk Hero and Ace on 240 HPS is going to pit farther up the road, and don't look now, but that is hypercar traffic coming up on them right now. That is Sinerius, who's going to be going through this group here. But Jaipa has station on Alonso again. That's Ellie going by real quickly. They clear Alonso. Jaipa is now going to have to deal with that hypercar. But yeah, Jaipa's actually opened up a decent gap on Alonso this time by. Hypercar goes by without too much issue here. And unsurprisingly, both Jaipa and Alonso will clear the pitting cars of Floppy Disk Hero and Ace. And Alonso has just about caught Jaipa all over again. With a little bit more hypercar traffic scooting by. Compromised Jaipa, but not enough for Alonso to really do anything. He's going to be behind this BMW again as they come into the first of 4 consecutive straightaways. AMT X46 now making a stop. Alonso, the highest place of all of the GT drivers who have already made their third stop, but he is hemorrhaging time to PTG Brains, being forced to fight with AFZ Jaipa right now. He's going to try and go around the outside on the run down to the corner, and he'll actually complete the overtake this time, but Jaipa doesn't care. He goes to the inside, dive bombs into the first of the chicanes. They'll keep it clean enough on exit. Alonso has it on Jaipa, but the problem is now Jaipa is the one who will have the run on Alonso, and Jaipa is not necessarily going to be treating Alonso as cleanly as well. Now he looks to the inside, Alonso outside, neck and neck, side by side between the two BMWs as they go down the second of the Mulsanne straightaways. Jaipa gets the nose ahead. He gets the car about a third of the way, now 2/3 of the way ahead. He'll go deep. Alonso backs out a bit, hoping that Jaipa slides wide. But no, Jaipa holds on to the line, but Alonso is back behind. Alonso actually had a really good exit. Immediately pulls back alongside Jaipa, side by side, once again between the duo. Jaipa has it. Alonso wants it. Actually, Alonso just wants to get rid of Jaipa. If Jaipa went off circuit on his own, Alonso would be absolutely happy as a clam because he could turn some laps in clean air. Side by side between the two into the Mulsanne corner. Jaipa's wide. Alonso crosses him over. Fantastic exit, but Jaipa didn't go into the dirt, so he'll still be close enough to give Alonso a little bit of harassment on the run into Indianapolis again. Top three, Spino, Eli, and Sinerius, all relatively close to each other. Although granted, Eli's only in second because they've not yet made their third stop. The focus right now is Alonso. He needs to stay ahead of Jaipa, but here comes Jaipa. Big Jaipa, big launch going into the corner, and Jaipa runs Alonso off circuit in Indianapolis. Alonso is going to be furious and fuming at that, but right now, PTG Brains, if he is aware of it, he is happy as a clan. So excited to hear that this is happening. Alonso's big gap that he had over Brains is rapidly decaying because Alonso is stuck fighting with GT drivers who are slower but way more aggressive. And now Alonso's going to have to deal with M21 Recon. Now, he should be clear of Recon going through the Porsche curves, and that should help him out a little bit. PTG Brains is pitting this time by. Where is Brains going to be in relation to Alonso? That is going to be the big question. Those are your top two in GT. Oh, bad run there by Alonso. Really bad run. Completely self-compromised there. I think the anger and the frustration is getting to him, and now Recon gets alongside Alonso and clears him. Alonso looks back to the inside. Is he going to try and lunge into the Ford chicanes? No, he's not. He's trying to be a little bit more reserved and calmer than that. PTG Brains still in pit lane. Alonso now onto the front straightaway. Brains just now coming out of the box. I think Alonso's still going to be well clear of Brains. Yes, Alonso is still going to be pretty far clear of Brains. Not as much as it was before, but he's still going to be clear of Brains. In fact, Uninanimate also is going to be clear of Brains as well. If anything, Uninanimate is the driver I think is going to be giving Alonso more issue here. Because look at that. That's Alonso right in front. Uninanimate has caught Alonso because Alonso just cannot cope with GT category traffic. Hurski is making their fourth stop with 30 minutes left in the running here. So now it's going to be Alonso and Uninanimate. These two are fighting for the overall win right now. We're going to take a Twitch-mandated ad break while we focus on this. And when we come back, we're likely going to see Jaipa, your leader in GT, and Recon Second GP make their third mandatory stops in the run. Oh, here comes Uninanimate, though, to the inside of Alonso, side by side, neck and neck. That is the hypercar of TRT, who will fly by both of them, barely cuts ahead of them both. And Uninanimate clears Alonso for a position, but Alonso's going to go deep, really deep into the corner, trying to scare the Chevy, trying to cross him over. Neither's trick works. Still behind the Chevy as it comes into the second straightaway now. Down the subsequent straightaway. Uninanimate has it. Alonso wants it back. Floppy Disk Hero is way behind this group, not in any kind of position to fight with them at the moment. Side by side, neck and neck. And for the moment, Uninanimate still holds it over Alonso. That is Recon that they have caught now. So Uninanimate's going to try and get by Recon, use Recon as a pit to keep Alonso behind. A big dive to the inside by the Chevy. He's going to force his way by Recon, and Recon is going to go way off. He'll keep it out of the dirt, but he's going to hemorrhage a huge chunk of time and fall way behind Jaipa, Uninanimate, and Alonso in the process. So that didn't go as well as Uninanimated wanted it to, but he is still now closing on Jaipa as they're coming up to Indianapolis. Now, Jaipa has been very aggressive, been willing to put his nose in areas where it really shouldn't be. Uninanimate absolutely sends it into Indianapolis. Might have sent it a little bit too hard, and Jaipa had a compromised line, and Uninanimate to the inside of Jaipa. Side by side going into Arnage. And he clears Jaipa with no issue. Boy, he made Alonso look like a pansy, being unable to pass that duo for so long. He's just picked them up and laid them down with no issue. Granted, he was a lot more aggressive, but still, Unanime absolutely slapping his long, 8-foot-long pork roll on those two slower GT cars, and Unanimate goes to the lead in that Apex number 45 Chevy. Elliott's pitting, and TRT is also pitting in the hypercar category, so everyone in the hypercars has now taken their mandatory 3 out of 4 stops. Still waiting on Jaipa and Recon to make their 3rd out of 4 stops in this run. 27 minutes left in the event. Well, Recon's pitted, but Jaipa stays out a little bit longer. We've seen Jaipa run this strategy before, stay out for a ridiculously long period of time. It's not really gotten him great results, but Jaipa has been fighting with drivers he wouldn't normally fight with in the process, and that has really been the big thing that has helped Unanimate get ahead of Alonso now. And that gap is rapidly opening up in Unanimate's favor. But back, this is Floppy Disk Hero trying to keep Kevin RX-7 behind. Floppy Disk Hero is trying to fight for another top 5 result in that Porsche. Outside is Kevin, inside is Floppy, and they're likely going to be locked side by side like this down the straight here. Looks like Dugaman, last of the hypercars, is making his 4th and final stop. Side by side again. It looks like Floppy Disk Hero will complete the overtake on Kevin this time by. All right, now back uphill they go. Back downhill, now firing it off into Mulsanne corner. For the moment, Floppy Disk Hero still has it over Kevin. Kevin had a tighter exit, but Floppy Disk Hero used the wider line to get onto the power a little bit earlier and a little bit smoother. Hold station, but Floppy has the draft once again. Still just about nose to tail between this duo. Now Kevin looking to the inside of Floppy. Side by side, neck and neck. Big slide. He slides right into the side of the Porsche, and the Porsche has to back out of it. And the BMW compromises his line, and here comes the hypercar. Tries to force his way up where there's no room. That's going to run both of the GT cars off the ideal line there. And that, mind you, is Hursti there. And there's TRT trying to fight with Hursti as well. And all that has actually put Floppy Disk Hero back in front of Kevin. And that duo of Hursti and TRT are going to be coming up on a little bit more GT traffic just ahead. That's PTG Brains ahead of them. They're going to have to navigate by. Oh, and that Mustang slid right in front. That backed up Hursti into TRT. But now TRT was compromised big time by the Mustang in the following bit of the Porsche curves, and the gap opens back up. Jaipa finally pitting. And it looks like Kevin's gotten by Floppy Disk Hero, this time by coming out of the Porsche curves. SDS Toasty, who is running third to last. If all the still running GT still has yet to make his third stop, let alone his fourth stop. So, don't know what's going on there with him. Uninanimate leads over VSR Alonso, and that gap is still pretty big in Uninanimate's favor. PTG Brains has moved up to third spot. Fourth is now Kevin. Although Floppy Disk Hero is not done with it, he wants fourth back as well. More door bang through here. Floppy gets back by Kevin. Well, it's not nearly as psycho insane as the first 35 minutes of this stint had been, but we are back to having some wild action in the GT category all over again. Kevin's going to go really deep. Boy, does Kevin go deep. And both of them kind of cut the track limit there a bit. But it stuck for Kevin. He made it stick. So Kevin goes back in the fourth spot now over that Porsche. Oh, that's going to be controversial. Big contact between the two of them there. Floppy Disk Hero is not going to be happy with how that just turned out in the second Mulsanne chicane. But that gives Kevin that position pretty solidly. And now they may have to worry about Cole Jex II, who is in sixth, wanting to crack his way back into the top 5 here. Well, Floppy Disk still sees Kevin ahead as they go through Indianapolis and Arnage. And he drops the tire in the dirt, and that's going to kind of kill his forward run. And Brains Koldik's just a little bit closer to him. Sinerius has just gotten by Spino. What's going on with Spino? Has he just been legitimately caught? Yeah, it seems like Spino's been legitimately caught. We now have a legitimate fight for the lead and the win here in the hypercars. I had been sleeping on the hypercars, but now with 19.5 minutes left, we have a lead change. Sinerius goes to the front ahead of Spino. Sinerius' team have not been able to pull off a win yet. But with Hershey having an accident and being way down the grid, this would be a perfect chance for Sinerius to go big and try to climb up the distance meter against his Class C prototype rivals here. Koldix pits, Kevin pits, Unanime and Alonso all pit, make their fourth and final stop now with about 19.5 minutes left. When do these two make their final stop? Eli is about a full pit stop behind them, so he's not going to have an impact on this. Eight and a half minutes for everyone to knock out their final mandatory stop. A lot of the GT field has already done so. Oh, that's a run. Sinerius dives it in. Or Sinerius dives it in. Couldn't make it stick on Spino, though. But he's got confidence. Sinerius is getting really happy with how that BMW is hooking up right now, it seems. And he's really pushing the issue on Spino. Coming up on a little bit of GT traffic just ahead. They're going to have to navigate around that car just as they get into the braking zone for the Porsche curves. Oh, that's not a, yeah, that is the Mercedes, the lone Mercedes GT car, I mean. Doesn't look like really had too much of an impact, though, on the top two, but it looks like Siniris is going to say, all right, I'll jump in early. Maybe I can overtake him on the in-lap, out-lap difference, so Spino's going to stay out here a little bit longer. BTG Brains is second, Floppy Disk Heroes third, Unanimate is in fourth right now, but highest of everyone who's already made their fourth mandatory stop, and Alonso is back to struggling with Jaipa. We're going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break, and when we come back, we will stay with this race until the end of Stint 6. We'll be back shortly here at Le Mans. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Le Mans. Apologize for that prolonged break. We now have less than 15 minutes left in the stint here. Alonso has lost the position again to Jaipa, and Recon's just a little bit farther back. In fact, Jaipa has actually caught Floppy Disk Hero. What's happening? Oh, he's just now coming out of the pits. Never mind. Okay. But Recon's going to slip by Floppy Disk Hero. Recon, third highest of all the drivers who have yet to make their final stop in the GT category. Jaipa is second highest, and I imagine if Alonso can find Jaipa in real life, he is going to take some brass knuckles right to Jaipa's left jaw with how aggressively Jaipa has been fighting Alonso throughout the run today. Unanimate runs in second overall in GT and will likely inherit the lead once PTG Brains finally pits out of the lead here. Dugalman Pro is making another stop. Am I seeing this right? No damage, and he's got plenty of fuel. I don't know why he's making a fifth stop, but he is apparently. And GGA Spino pinning out of the lead. So now the question is Spino versus Siniris. Who's going to be on top now? Siniris had caught Spino legitimately, pitted early, hoping that on the outlap he could clip Spino and get back ahead of him. But look at that. Spino's still ahead of Siniris. Not by much. But Spino is back ahead of Siniris as they go through the first heavy braking zone on the lap. Less than 13 minutes to go here. Spino just needs to minimize mistakes, not be compromised by traffic, and he can still steal this win. Stints was not as good on the in-lap, out-lap as he thought he would be. So the advantage goes back to Spino briefly here. It's not a massive advantage, but it's one that he can use anyway. Closing in on one of the BMW GT3 cars. We'll dive to the inside and we'll clear him before they get into the braking zone here. Is the same going to be true for Stints? Stints might be compromised by him in the apex. He is compromised by him in the apex of the first chicane. Suboptimal for Stints. That could work out a little bit more in Spino's favor. Now Spino's going to have some nice clean track ahead until he catches the next bunch of traffic. That would be Arius Magnus here. Magnus in that blue and white Chevrolet. It'll be a while until he gets caught. Then ahead of them is FFR Sweetking. Did Hirsch just get by Eli? Oh, yes, they have. So it looks like we also have a fight now for 3rd and 4th position. So the top 2 in Hypercar are close enough to fight. And now we have a fight for 3rd and 4th in Hypercar as well. These two have been on alternate strategies, but they have suddenly found each other. Hurski trying to recover from an accident they had early on while navigating GT traffic. Eli just trying to pull out some kind of podium result. That team's just not had any really good runs. All right, PTG Brains is making his final stop of the run today. So Jaipa and Recon have to make it into the pits this time by. They are running low on time. In fact, is Recon going to be able to make it into pit road in time? That could be a legitimate question. Jaipa, when does he pit? Jaipa's coming in this time officially. What about Recon? Can he make it into pit lane here before that clock hits 30 minutes? He will. So Brains is making his stop now, so this should give the lead back over to Uninanimate in the Apex Chevrolet GT. It's going to be Brains versus Alonso here for a second, and it looks like Brains is going to clear Alonso. Alonso has been compromised so badly by Jaipa that Alonso has lost what should have been a surefire easy win and has fallen to 3rd in the GT category. What kind of line is... Come off it! What kind of line is that, Alonso? Oh, nice. Oh, nice. So it looks like it's going to be Uninanimate, Brains, and Alonso finishing podium in the GT category. Spino has a small gap over Stints, but Stints has just about caught his draft, and we could have mano-a-mano fight once more here for the lead, for the win, with now just a little bit over 9 minutes left. We saw this before back in Stint 4. The hypercars were right on top of each other. Dead heat. We could not tell who won in that stint. It was a dead even heat when they hit 0-0 on the clock. Could we be in for a repeat of that? Stints not close enough to get the draft on Spino this time, I guess. Gotta be some clean track ahead. They both should be able to clear that Sweetcoon, I believe. And they should both be able to clear Sweetcoon without... No, that's not Sweetcoon. Who is that? Is that Recon? Yeah, it's Recon. They'll both be able to clear Recon, I imagine, before the braking zone. Well, it wasn't the perfect clear for Stints, but he still does clear him anyway. Koldix and Ace, farther up the road, are still having a legitimate fight between each other for position here for what would be 5th and 6th in GT. They clear Floppy Disk Hero that time. No, that's Jaipa they cleared. Never mind, not Floppy Disk. That's Jaipa they cleared, I believe. Stints still not yet close enough to get the draft off Spino, but he has been slightly faster than Spino for the last half hour or so. Enough to catch Spino earlier. So now Spino's beat him back using the overcut But Sinerius will have a little bit less fuel, and tire fall shouldn't be too much of an issue. But time is going to be an issue. Time is running out for our top two here in Hypercar. Most of this since we've focused on the GT battles, but it looks like near the end we'll be looking at the Hypercars once more. Kind of an inversion of what Stint 1 was. Stint 1 we spent most of the time looking at the Hypercars, but near the end we looked at the interesting fight in the GTs for second place. Where's Alonso compared to these guys? Alonso is in the Porsche curve, so it's going to still be a while until Spino and Sinerius catch the leading trio in GT. Yeah, no reason to worry, no reason to be concerned on fuel or tire wear, at least for these two. Sinerius has caught Spino once. Can he do it again? That is the big question. GT traffic ahead, trying to navigate their way through the Ford chicanes. They're already clear. Looks like Spino might catch GT traffic going through Dunlop curbs. Will be a high-speed section of the circuit, but it's going to be one of the better places. If you had to catch them in corners, that would probably be one of the better corners to catch slower traffic in. Just about nose to tail there, looks of it, between PTG Brains. Oh no, that's not who it is. I thought it was. Who is that then? Is that Coldy? Oh, it was Coldy and Ace, and then Floppy Disk Hero a little bit farther back as well. Ah, okay, that explains it. Well, already, we've gotten by Floppy Disk Hero, gotten by Ace. Coldy will be the next driver that Spino will have to blow by here. Still, Spino maintain his gap on Sinerius, but he's going to catch that GT car at the worst possible moment. Compromise his line in, compromise the mid-corner. Not as badly compromised on exit, but that will work out fantastically in Sinerius' favor now. Gonna be a bit of a gap until Spino catches Kevin. I think he's gonna catch Kevin in the second braking zone as well. Well, not the second braking zone, but in the apex of the second chicane as well. Again, Spino held up something that's this time even worse. And now Sinerius way closer to Spino. 3 more GT cars left for Spino to pass. 4 minutes left in the race. And Sinerius has now caught Spino. Ahead, you can see GT cars ahead. Looks fine. You can see Sinerius. It is going to be a fight to the checkers here. Less than 4 minutes to go. So they're going to finish this lap, but not get all the way around for their next lap afterwards. That is a fight for second developing between Brains and Alonso there. Brains has it. Alonso wants it back. Looks like we're going to have 3 different manufacturers finishing in the top 3 positions in the end here for GT. Easy overtakes for Spino. No real compromise. And Sinerius, though, different story. He is going to have to force his way by. Oh, and Alonso didn't have a good time letting the hypercar by. Although Sinerius clears Brains without issue. Spino now should only have to worry about one more bit of GT traffic. That will be the leader in GT. Unanimate before this is over. Gap is still uncomfortably tighter than it needs to be, but Sinerius is not in a position to get alongside Spino yet. 2.5 minutes left. Oh, and Spino hits the dirt coming out of the corner. He's going to lose even more time. Spino is going to catch an inanimate in the Dunlop curbs. I think coming out of the Dunlop curbs, to be exact. Just before they get onto the 4 consecutive straightaways. Catches him on the exit. Not too badly compromised. And now Spino is home free. He's just got to nail the next 4 or 5 corners. Sinerius is close, but not close enough. Brains and Alonso still on top of each other for second and third in GT. Brains has it. Alonso wants it. There's a possibility that Spino ends up catching the lapped car of TVF Gorka before this is over as well. Alonso looking for an alternate line just to get alongside Brains, and that didn't work out very well. One minute left. Doesn't look like Alonso has anything for Brains here. Likewise, it doesn't look like Sinerius has anything for Spino. As long as Spino doesn't botch these next 2 braking zones, he will take home the victory in Stint 6. Sinerius is still there, close enough to capitalize, but not close enough to make a move. Between Brains and Alonso, this will be their final braking zone. This will decide it for them. As long as Brains doesn't mess up, he'll have it. And yeah, it looks like Brains going to come out here with another podium result. So that's 4 podiums and 6 stints. Stints 2 and 3 were not good for the PTG team, but they are rebounding. As the time's up, over, plow, your winner is going to be GGA Spino in the hypercar category. Second place will be Sinerius. Third place will go to Hershey. Fourth will be Eli. Fifth will go to TRT, JGTZ 500. Sixth will go to AMTX 46, who is still running for some reason. Don't know what's going on there. Someone must not have given him the word. And seventh will go to Dugaman Pro. In GT category, Uninanimate takes home the victory in the Chevy GT. PTG Brains will come home in second. Alonso will be third. Fourth will be Kevin RX7. Fifth will be Cole GX the second. Sixth will be Ace. Seventh will be Floppy Disk Hero. This is a little bit tight. There might be some controversy over who is actually supposed to be where between these two. After that will be AFZ Jaipa, who I believe is 8th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 8th for Jaipa. 9th for MT1 Recon. 10th for Arius Magnus. 11th for Suicune. 12th for Pizza Box. 13th for Toasty, SDS Toasty. And last, 14th of the runners will be TVF Gorka, and Byron did not finish after not even completing the entire first lap. This will pretty much wrap up Stint 6 here. We're going to take a Twitch mandated ad break, and when we come back, we will try to get some interviews with some of our top finishers here for Stint 6 at Le Mans. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll welcome you back here to Le Mans. Stint 6 is over. We're going to wait a little bit to see if we can get any post-stint interviews from any of our podium finishers in the 2 categories. Oh, wow, that didn't take long. Coming to the party right now is Uninanimate. Uninanimate. Let's see it here. Just waiting a bit, waiting for it to connect. Uninanimate, please be able to hear me. Come on, come on, come on, come on. It can work. I believe in you. Uninanimate, can you hear me? I hear you. Are you able to include your audio in the Xbox party?
Someone, yes, I clicked that.
All right, awesome. Uninanimate, a fantastic drive to the victory. I believe it's the first stint victory for the for that team in today's event. What do you have to say about your run out there today?
It's also my first TORA stint victory, so that's nice.
Oh, fantastic.
I would like to thank Recon and Jaipa, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, for battling with Alonso a stop down, because I would not have caught him had they not done that. But yeah, no, it's just nice to have a good tune for once, because I usually do my own tunes, and not be disadvantaged by that. Halfway through the race, I kind of just entered a flow state, and the car just felt perfect, so...
Well, you did a fantastic job. I do have to ask, Stint 7 is underway right now. Who is driving that car in Stint 7?
Let me see. I believe it's... I have that here, sorry. It is... Stint 7 is Fuego.
All right. Well, we know that the car is handy in Apex's hands, in Fuego's hands, and we also know it is handy in your hands now. Unanimate, you did a great job. Go ahead, catch some Z's after taking home your first TORA stint victory, and thanks for jumping in and talking with us, mate.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, I want to go ahead and talk with PTG Brains, as Brains came home with a second place result out there. Brains, very interesting run, but just a little bit short of another stint win for your team. What do you have to say about your run out there today? I do want to ask, who is taking over and driving the car in Stint 7? All right, well, we know Takahashi has quite a bit of capability. We know that he is a master at adapting to these cars, so we'll definitely keep an eye on that for anyone who is watching the Stint 7. Anything else you want to say before we go ahead and let you go for the night? All right, well, thanks, Brains. Brains had a very interesting time, went off circuit a few times, but still recovered to a respectable second place result here in Stint 6. We're going to wait just a little bit longer to see if anyone else is going to jump in for a post-stint interview, but if not, I will send a watch party raid over to the streamer, or the person who should be streaming, for Stint 7 right now. Okay, I don't think we're gonna get any more interviews, and I really need to get some sleep so I can wake up in time for this next broadcast. It's about 9 o'clock my time, and I need to be up by like 4, so I know I'm awake for the final Stint broadcast in the morning. So with this in mind, I'm gonna wind down our broadcast for Stint 6, but don't you worry, I will be back tomorrow for the final Stint, Stint 12 in the daytime. Until next time, though, I've been your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13. I'm sending out a raid now to... Okay, well, I'm going to try and send a raid out now to the Stint 7 broadcaster right now. 1 second.
Minutes left.
All right, there it is. All right, there goes the raid to G4S Fresh Stacks. So, yep, go and jump in and catch Fresh Stacks for the rest of the Stint. For the rest of Stint 7. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Farewell and goodbye, everyone. Oh my gosh, Spino, I was literally just about to end the stream. You got here in the nick of time. Can you hear me? Spino, can you hear me? Hershey, can you hear me? All right, I guess we're gonna get free extra interviews here just before this is over. Did not expect that. A little bit of a surprise. All right, I'm gonna start with Hershey here. Hershey, interesting run. Started up front, but kind of got involved with instants, dealing with the GT field. Fell down the order, but recovered to third. What do you have to say about your run out there? All right, that team, I believe, has finished podium in every single stint but one thus far. I have to ask, who is driving the car in stint 7? Yes. Ooh, that'll be interesting to keep an eye on in that case. All right. Real quickly, I want to turn our focus now to Spino. Spino, go ahead, make sure your audio is included. Stint victory, but it definitely got a little bit tight there near the end. What do you have to say about your run out there?
Not a lot, other than I just focused a lot.
Yeah, I guess that is not a lot. All right, who's taking over the car in Stint 7?
That would be Kuroshine.
Ooh, okay. We've seen Kuroshine quite a few times. We know they're very capable and competent with these vehicles. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up for the night?
Not really, no.
All right, well, short, straight, and to the point. That is the word from our Stint winner in Hypercar, GGA Spino. With that in mind, we will officially end our broadcast for Stint 6 here. We'll be back in the morning for Stint 12. Until then, I've been your host for today's broadcast, the same Leader 13. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone. Farewell and goodbye.